Woke media isn't what you think. This idea for a video is one I've had for a while now, and it really popped up after my analysis of True Detective, where in the comments of that video I received some very interesting reactions, with the majority of them focused on not even True Detective, but just claimed that woke media was ruining TV and movies. Now, I'll go right ahead and say this is something I fundamentally disagree with, and not just for opinion reasons, but for facts that prove that that idea is just wrong. Now, I see you getting ready to take a side and make comments already, but please watch this entire video before you draw any conclusions. Now, I know I may not be the best to cover this subject, but after I've received so many comments on that video and others with the same claims, I want to make my standpoint clear on the subject and hopefully provide some information for everyone. I've rewritten and re-recorded this video 4 separate times now, trying to find the correct words to discuss this topic. Just please keep in mind, I do not have a degree in culture, diversity, or anything of that sort, so please forgive me if I mess up in any of my wording of things. But okay, enough talk. Let's look at some facts. So for starters, the dictionary definition of woke is aware of and actively attentive to important societal facts and issues, especially issues of racial and social injustice. And this is what the idea of woke media follows. To put it plainly, what real woke media is really just media that is trying to support these marginalized groups. Now, while there is a widespread of what marginalized groups are, it seems that the main complaint from people about media becoming more woke surround the claims that it is from a rise of women-focused media, a rise in LGBTQ characters, such as myself, in media, a rise in Black, African American, and or BIPOC media, and a rise in media focusing on racial issues. Again, as a side note, I know there's more topics that people complain about within woke media, but again, this seems to be the main 4 that I can find, and I don't have time to try to cover everything. It seems like the argument goes that with studios so focused on creating pieces of content that surround these topics, they care about the topics more than they care about the media, and thus put out bad films. So, are they actually doing this? Well, the simple answer is yes and no. Are we seeing a rise in these areas within film and TV? Yes. Is that what is causing these films to fall apart? No. Let's take a look at women-focused media for an example. Last year, in 2023, the 8 main movie distributors produced a combined total of 143 films in America. Out of those 143, only 46 movies featured a female lead or co-lead. And if we take out that co-lead, we are left with just 21 films with female leads. Let's compare that to 2000. These same producers made 166 films, with only 29 of them featuring a female lead or co-lead, with only 15 of those films featuring just a woman lead. I think these numbers really speak for themselves, improving we are seeing a rise in these groups. But with these numbers increasing as little as they have, it would be frankly impossible to make claims that they're focused on pushing these films out instead of making good films. It becomes glaringly obvious that the companies aren't actually forcing these films to be produced, or else the rise we would see would be much more significant. Comparably, I believe that this would be reflected equally in the other areas, with LGBTQ characters, Black, African American, and or BIPOC media, and a rise in media focused on racial issues. This trend that we see in woman-led films would more than likely cross over to these same areas, where we actually see a very limited rise in these types of characters and values, but thankfully a rise still. This actually is what I believe pushes the false narrative that these films are bad, because these films that are being made are actually relatively few compared to the entirety of films being released. They are singled out more, and make it harder for them to be looked over, and therefore allows the public to see them in a more critical eye, as we aren't used to seeing them nearly as much as we realize. Now, are some of these films just bad films? Of course, not every movie is always going to be perfect, but writing the blame off on bad films as there being a showcase of more woke ideas of characters just can't be held to blame for their shortcomings. Or by seeing a movie and immediately writing it off because it contains with more woke aligned content, it also limits you as a consumer and a critic of the media that you are able to consume. I know this topic is controversial to say the least, and there's 1,000 other points that can be made. But hopefully, this quick demonstration of a simple statistic and comparing it has given you some insight to know that woke isn't hurting media. Personally, I really hope we get to see more movies focused on these characters and values that we haven't been able to see a lot of, as I always tend to find them more unique. And it seems that most creators tackling these issues are passionate about them and create some really great pieces of media. But hey, I want to hear your thoughts too. Comment below to let me know what your opinion on all this is, or if you have any other information to share. Let's just make sure to keep things civil. But for now, and as always, thanks for watching.